clue.
Someone is consecutively
The panic
eliminating
ult.
survivors.
Oh god! My health is going away. Just slap the button. Slap buttons quick. Hey everyone, I wanted to break my streak of not making YouTube videos by coming out with the Adriana build guide that I have been intending to release for quite some time now. Adriana is by far my favorite character in ERBS. I've been playing her for a long time. She has my most played time, and honestly, we see a lot of success with her. For this guide, I'm going to be giving you a lot of information just about the character in general that you might not already know about, plus basically a route and path that I take for most of my solo games. It is pretty reliable and honestly puts an unexpected amount of damage out there that most people are taken by surprise by. First thing before we get into the routing and tips is I want to go over her stat priorities and skill priority. So basically, an important thing to know about Adriana is she only has 3 sources of damage, even though she has 4 abilities and a passive. There are only actually 3 unique sources of damage here in this kit. One is her Q, which is direct damage as long as the player is standing in her flamethrower. 2 is her Molotov. When it lands on a player, it deals immediate damage. And then 3 is her passive. Her passive actually includes oil slick damage, her E damage, and the fire left behind by her Molotov. All 3 of these are the same form of damage and do not stack. So keep that in mind when thinking about your stat priorities and your items that you're going to build, and which moves are going to actually do damage depending on what items you have equipped. And when thinking about what your items are doing to affect your skills, the first thing I want to go over is her flamethrower. It actually is completely not affected by skill amp. So no matter how many skill amp items you have, this move will not increase in damage. So keep that in mind. If you wind up getting rid of some of your AP items or attack power items, your flamethrower is going to deal less damage. And another thing to note is this is a scaling AP ratio. So higher level Q means quite a bit of extra damage depending on how much attack power you have. The other thing to note is her passive has very low damage ticks. So skill amp percent affects this quite a bit less. Skill amp flat seems to affect this greatly. So honestly, her stat priorities are mostly HP and defensive items, attack power, and flat skill amp. All right, so let's get back to skill priorities. Majority of the time I will max R, then Q, then a combination of W and E, since it really is only just cooldowns. Last and maybe the least important, in my opinion, is the passive. Upgrading your passive twice literally only gives you 6 extra damage per tick, which I don't feel is all that worth it. It does, however, also give you better SP regen per level. So if you're struggling for SP, consider putting a point in, but I would not suggest it early, and I definitely would not suggest it over the Q for any reason. So that order is R, Q, W, E, and the passive. All right. So now that we've got all that out of the way, let's go ahead and move on to routing. And then after that, we're going to get into your best in slot items that you may want to replace after the routing. All right. So this is the build and path that we're going to be using for our solo Adriana here. It starts in school, goes to archery, hotel, then chapel factory. Now, once you're in school, you're not only going to want to find your build items, but you're also going to want to start collecting lighters. 1 is pretty necessary. 2 or 3 are ideal. You're going to need them for SP. And once you get to archery, you're also you're going to want to cook them into boiled eggs for some good food. All right, so once you leave the school, this is where things get a little bit more complicated. You're going to require a few items that are not listed in your build. These items are 1 iron ball and 2 gunpowder. This is to make your Antioch, which is your alternate weapon. You're going to need this when fighting players. It is much stronger than the sling for auto attacks. So I highly recommend grabbing the vision tower as you pass it on your way in, which I did not do in this video, but it is pretty essential to watching your back here. So grab the vision tower. I recommend killing 1 or 2 packs of the wolves here, unless you're contested, in which you kind of just want to sneak around the bottom edge and get whatever you can and get out. If a Nadine is claiming your territory here, don't fight her, you will lose. So grab the wolves, grab the items you need, 1 ball, 2 gunpowder, and get out. Now, while passing through hotel here, you're going to need to find cloth. There is no other place to get cloth on this route, so make sure you don't leave hotel without it. At this point, you're going to teleport to either chapel or factory, depending on what kind of items you obtained in hotel. This is also important to note that you need an extra scrap metal and an extra piano wire to make your Antioch. It's pretty much at this point where you're going to start improvising between the remaining areas to get everything that you need to finish your build. The first cross I get goes to Antioch because it is a huge increase in damage, and then the other two is for the Crusader and then Sling. I prioritize the Sling last because worst case scenario, you at least have a chest piece and your Antioch to kill people. Now, something you should know about when to start fighting here is when your power spike hits. I would not suggest fighting anyone until you get your high explosive grenade, which is the prerequisite to Antioch. You could obtain this in hotel if you get enough items on your way through. So if you wind up getting the high explosive in hotel, you can start fighting there if you're feeling brave. But once you get your Antioch, that's a pretty good sign that you're ready to start killing people. Now, after you complete your build, there are a few things that you want to focus on. One is obviously food and traps. Particularly the double guillotine is especially good on Adriana as it holds people down in your fire. And then Wickaline is a massive buff for Adriana. Adriana is possibly one of the best characters in the game to have Wickaline. For those unaware, Wickaline provides the character a buff which gives you a dot on all of your attacks and skills. Adriana being particularly good at long range poke means that you can reapply this buff from a fairly long range, and honestly, it devastates. So essentially, prioritize Wickaline if you can. Practice killing her without losing too much health, as getting third party can be deadly, and try not to use too much of your ult unless you are definitely killing Wick. Now, on top of receiving the buff from Wickaline, one of the major boosts that you get from her is a VF blood sample. Now, if you can manage it during your run, you actually can pick up every item you need for the Handbach, which is the Queen of Hearts, after you get the VF blood formula. Now, if you can get this for the end game, it's massive. Adriana excels when she can just keep launching Molotovs at people. So if you can manage your time appropriately, try and get a Handbach, and once you've killed Wick, you will then have a Queen of Hearts, which is immensely powerful for Adriana. And honestly, that's pretty much it. Besides the Queen of Hearts, your other best in slot items that you're going to want to look out for is upgrading your helmet to a Mithril helmet. That's pretty much just an immediate upgrade from a tactical ops. Hermes boots are absolutely almost amazing on any character, but definitely look out for them for Adriana. And then your arm could be swapped out for a Scotty if you want some more flat amp. Those upgrades are some of the best upgrades you can get for her. Now keep in mind, if you do wind up swapping off of any of these items and wind up losing your healing reduction, try and get another form of it. Like if you're going to swap out your white Rhinos for Hermes, try and get a white Crane fan off a kill. Healing reduction on Adriana is possibly more important for her than almost any other character in the game. Adriana has arguably one of the lowest damage outputs of any character, and because of that, stopping the enemy from healing is very important. So be sure that you try and keep a healing reduction item on you at all time. But guys, that about wraps it up for the information I have for you for Adriana today. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a like on it. Feel free to subscribe for more content. And guys, I do stream almost every night at twitch.tv/Nazori. I'd love to see you there. You are more than welcome to show up and ask questions. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you have a great day, and we'll see you next time. Where's she going? Into the darkness I go. Like, out of here. There she is. Welcome back. Oh man.
Eliminated. 3 final survivors remaining.
Boots of Hermes, I will take it.